Hello everyone and welcome back to Boundless Disciple. In today's video, I want to give some more practical advice on how to have a good first date or first 2 or 3 date experience as a Christian man. How should you conduct yourself? What's the best way to go about it to have a good outcome? And what can you do to ensure that, you can maybe have a long-lasting relationship, or when you finally have connections and you ask girls out on dates, that they actually stick and go somewhere. I've certainly made plenty of mistakes. And so I'm going to recount some of these in this video and give you some ideas of some things to do and not to do. This video is not going to be boomer advice. It's not going to be all the typical things that you hear from your mainstream Christian pastors. I'm going to give you some real practical steps that I think, even in dating domestically in the US, if you're screening properly for women who aren't total degenerates, you're going to have a good chance of moving on to a second or third date if you choose to do so. Remember, the ball is in your court. You get to decide if you want to continue the relationship. So let's start off with point number one, and that is when you go through the series of events that lead to the date, whether it's asking the girl out in person or over a dating app or Instagram or whatever. I know a lot of people are basically been reduced to dating apps and online dating at this point. Rule number one is make it clear that it's actually a date. So don't beat around the bush. Don't be feminine about it. Don't be a woman about it. Be a man about it, and actually make it clear in some way that it is a date. It's not just some sort of friends get together or quote unquote hangout. Okay. It doesn't have to be over the top. You don't have to be, just to clarify, this is a date because I want a relationship, marriage, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it doesn't have to be like that, but it can't be so vague that it's, hey, do you want to hang out at a coffee shop sometime? Okay, that just implies weakness. That implies that you don't have a courage. That makes it seem like you're beating around the bush and being passive aggressive. Okay, these are things women, even modern feminized women in the West, they don't respect this. They don't respect this attitude. Okay, so make it clear enough. If it's over the message, hey, I'd like to take you out on a date. Let's do this. Let's do X. Let's do Y, or whatever. Okay. If you're in person, hey, I think we vibe really well. Would you like to, meet up sometime later for a date at XY location? Okay. I think specifically using that word can kind of get across your intentions. And if they're not interested in that, or they find the word date off-putting, well, they're not really interested in you to begin with, and you don't have to waste your time. So I think that's a really easy sort of thing to do. Have the courage to do so. I think it's going to benefit you a lot in the long run. Next is going to be picking the actual date itself. And this one's actually pretty straightforward and a lot easier than guys make it out to be. You can do a dinner date. I actually find that dinner dates or, boomer dates like movie dates actually aren't the best for first date situations. Now it can progress to that, and I'm gonna explain that here. But I think a movie is not a great first date because you're stuck in front of a screen where it's loud and you can't really talk to each other. So, and it's really that engagement and connection that's going to be really key in those first few dates, especially for the woman, as she's going to want to feel some form of an emotional connection. So I wouldn't recommend that. The dinner date, just because it's a lot of commitment up front for you, and also, eating a large meal in front of each other, it can be a little awkward at times. So, you can definitely go for that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think activity dates or coffee dates are the best way to do the first date. Okay. It's really low pressure. It doesn't put any, extra pressure on the situation. It's low cost, and the financial investment on your part is fairly low. And I think it's just a good way to sort of meet up and see if you guys vibe in, a very casual, low investment environment. Activity dates can work too. I've done a variety of ones. It doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to blow a lot of money. It can be simply, walking in a park, or doing a simple sports activity, or whatever, you two share in common. Maybe the reason you guys met in the first place. Going to a bookstore even and getting some coffee is a very high quality first date, and it shows some intention and effort from you. The woman doesn't want to feel like you're going over the top and like that's the primary thing in your life and you spent hours planning this date, but they want to know that you put some effort into it and that you do care. It's about striking that middle ground. You're going to find that theme of striking the middle ground to be very important here coming up. So, after you ask it out, plan it, a few days in advance. Don't do lots of excessive texting before the first date. Okay. You want to kind of play it cool. You want to kind of seem like you've got a lot of stuff going on in your life. And, dating and meeting women is not the primary thing. And it really shouldn't be like the number one thing at all times. There can be seasons where it's more important, but your life and your mission and your purpose and goal should come before those things. So, the same thing with a lot of the relationship sort of power balances are actually going to begin in this very early phase and how you set the tone for the rest of the relationship. So, if you ask her out on the coffee date, for example, and you guys are texting about availability, don't say, I'm available all this week at all times. Okay. That implies low value. That implies you don't have a lot of options. And that implies you don't have a lot going on in your life. So that's not really going to be a great approach. You'll want to say something like this. Oh, I'm free Tuesday and Thursday evenings between 7 and 9, something like that. And that's going to make it clear to her, okay, you're available at those times. And then she'll counter back with maybe a time, or you'll find one that meets in the middle. But that's a really obvious one, and one that, if you don't have a lot of dating experience or you're really excited about this experience, a lot of guys make is they kind of make themselves available at all times. And all it does is just imply weakness and imply that they don't have a lot of options. Even if you don't have a lot of options, you don't want to make it seem like you don't have a lot of options. Okay. Appearances and vibes definitely matter in this situation. Now, when you actually get to the first date, it's important to dress well. You don't have to go all out, suit and tie or something ridiculous like that. You should, as a man, have a decent wardrobe for different situations. I'm not saying you need to be a fashion model and spend thousands of dollars, but, be clean, have some decent clothes, wear some decent pants, some good shoes. You should have a watch. For me, when I go out for things like, dates or any sort of formal events, I have a nice watch and I have a cross necklace that I always wear. It's two very good accessories. It implies that you care about your appearance, but it's not so over the top, right? Some jeans or some nice pants and, a good clean shirt that matches in color with some sort of a nice add-on jacket or something like that. Unless it's really hot out, then you just go with the shirt, okay? And just dress like that. Keep it simple. Just make it seem like that's kind of what you wear on a day-to-day basis, even if you don't wear clothes like that on a day-to-day basis. So, now that you're properly groomed, this is where things really can go off the rails. And a lot of Christian guys, because they're very serious about their faith, they're very serious about finding a wife who is traditional, who wants a family, who wants to build all those things. They play all their cards and they put all their cards on the table the very first date. And I'm not making this up. I've heard experiences and had guys tell me about them doing these things, and they don't usually turn out very well. There may be the occasional girl who's also just as serious and kind of into that talk maybe in the first date. But most of the time, what you're trying to do on the first date and what the girl is really searching for is you're just trying to figure out if you guys vibe together and have a connection, okay? You're not planning the next 40 years of your life during that first date, okay? What we're really trying to figure out is, do our personalities match? Do we have chemistry? Do we have, similar sort of attitudes toward things in general? It can stem into deeper topics. That's okay. But, I've definitely heard of guys where on the first date, they're talking about how many kids they want, what the time frame is, what the wife's job will be in the household. All these they're planning out all these various topics, and you guys have known each other for 10 minutes. So it's just not appropriate. And I just don't think it's very prudent or very wise to do so. And it tends to turn most women off. Now, some guys have had some different experiences, but I think it's best to just have an enjoyable experience together, have some chemistry, joke around, laugh, find out if your guys' sort of sense of humor matches. That's the goal for the first few dates. Now, as the dates progress, yes, you want to start getting into more serious topics. You don't want to waste your time forever if you're not aligned with the girl on, very important issues. I'm saying for the first few dates, this is what this advice is tailored for. You want to aim it more towards that thing. Now, not saying you can't bring up things like, how important your faith is, or observe her behavior around, let's say, date one, you did a coffee walk in the park date. Excellent. You guys just kind of vibed and talked about things you're interested in. Awesome. At the end of that first date, you should definitely seal the second date at that point. So you should say, hey, I really enjoyed this experience. This was a fun day. I felt like we really got along. Would you like to do this again sometime? I think it would be a really good idea. And see how she responds. If the first date went well, she'll likely respond with a yes, and then you can follow up. Now, sometimes they'll respond with a yes, and then in the follow up, either be kind of dodgy or unsure about if she has room in her schedule. Okay. If you get those signs, she's not interested. Okay. Unless it's an extenuating circumstance, which can happen. If she's dodging you after that first date, saying she doesn't have time or she doesn't know or something like this, she's not interested in you, and just leave it alone. There's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of fish in the sea out there. There's plenty of options out there. Don't get too overcommitted. Now, I'm not saying you can't have some emotional investment or commitment early on, but don't get too overcommitted after date one, okay? Because that's just setting yourself up for failure. So if you do follow up and she did enjoy it and she wants to do the second date, then you can go to something. All right, hey, let's do a dinner date tonight, or let's do a dinner and bowling. Something really typical, something more boomery. I think is a good way to go. 2 coffee dates in a row just implies really kind of low effort situation. I think throwing a dinner or an activity in there implies that you're kind of ready to take this to a more serious level. And I think that's a really good thing for date 2, 3, and 4. And as those things progress, you can start to wade into more serious topics. They'll come up naturally. So what you want to do is just observe the behavior of the woman, what you guys are talking about, and naturally more important topics will come up as you share more things about your life and things that are important to you. And this is where you can really take note, is when the more important things come up, does she continue to talk about really low level, low IQ, gossipy stuff? Or is she interested in more important topics like her faith, family building, etc.? And if she gets into those things, that's your opportunity to begin discussing things that are important to you and important to the future. There is nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying wait till date 10 to start talking about whether you guys want to build a family or something like that. Those can come earlier, but those are not, in my opinion, usually first date topics, especially if you are bringing those things up immediately. Now, she may go into those things and even bring them up on date 1. Like I said, that's your invitation to start talking about those things. But coming right out of the gate with those things, I think, is a very negative or not a good move, in my opinion, and I don't think it works out well. Speaking from other men's experiences and my personal experience, a lot of you Gen Z guys, you're traditional, you're faithful, and you're really intense. Leave some of that intensity on the sidelines when it comes to date. Okay. Don't forget to have fun either. Okay, right? It's about dating can be fun. In the right environment, it can be just fine. Okay. And just see if you vibe, with that person as a whole is going to be really, really important. In terms of physical contact, it's just going to depend on the culture and the woman. So in the US, I would say in terms of Christian conservative circles, you're not looking at a ton of physical contact early on. I'm not saying it can't occur. I think hugs after dates are really good, in my personal opinion. And there can be opportunities and instances where I've taken the opportunity to, go for a subtle first kiss. It has happened before. You really have to read the situation. And that comes with experience in dating. Okay. You can't watch YouTube videos and go, I now know how to apply when the kiss comes in the situation. Or it's not a mechanical set of rules like, well, if she responded this way after date 2, then I know a kiss is safe, and try to robotically figure it out. Okay. This takes time, experience, and this takes feel. Okay. Learning the art of dating and seduction to a degree, or dealing with women, takes feel and emotional intelligence. And very, very early on, you're going to have very little of that. And just accept that you're going to make mistakes, and it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's fine. All right. There's plenty of women out there, especially if you're dating abroad. There's plenty of women out there for you. It is no big deal. If it's meant to work out, it will. Don't beat yourself up too bad. But that is my dating advice for the first 1, 2, or 3 dates. I can give country-specific advice. I've been to and dated in Colombia and South Korea if people are interested in the country-specific advice, because those countries are very different when it comes to their dating culture. This is a more general one. This could apply to Christian guys in the US as well, because I did do extensive dating in the US before I started dating abroad. And I feel like this is definitely an approach that makes a lot of sense. If you want me to do continued videos on the dating process, what to do after that as things start to become more solidified and it becomes a baby toddler relationship, what to do at that point. So thank you for watching this video. I do have a free guide down below. It's the 30 days to thriving abroad, helping you guys live and build a thriving life abroad as a Christian man. So check out that free training down below. Let me know what your experiences have been dating, and if this advice resonated with you, please like and subscribe to the channel. And anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.